Hey guys, it's me, Coral. Welcome back once again. I'm here today with the second part of my April book haul. And I'm not sure if you watched the first part of this, but if you didn't, this is going to be more of the vintage horror I bought this month. The first part is like the more modern, recent releases I bought this month. So these ones are old, the other ones are newer. I'm not sure if anyone is like not interested in older books, but if you are, maybe you should just take the time to watch this one just this once, because there are some really good, weird old books here. And now's the time. Now is the part where I tell you about them. First one I would like to tell you about is The Tribe by Barry Wood. This was published in 1981. This is also featured in Paperbacks from Hell, and I happened to find this at my local used bookstore, which I check that place out fairly often, but I don't very often find older books in good condition because they tend to take things that are in almost new condition. So I think sometimes there are probably ones that people try to sell there that probably aren't in the condition that the store wants them in. So I just don't find vintage horror that often. So I was super excited to find this one. I'm kind of hazy on the exact synopsis of this. It's not written on the book anywhere, and I didn't look it up. But from what I gathered about this, it is about some of the survivors of the Holocaust, some Jewish survivors who have relocated in New York, and there's some sort of monster or spirit or something like that that has come to haunt them, and it seems like it's maybe something that they experienced from their time in Europe. I think that there is some like Jewish mythology type of thing. I'm not exactly sure. I'm so bad with synopsises, but I think that's what The Tribe is about. I also found at my used bookstore a copy of Night World by F. Paul Wilson. This is one of his Repairman Jack books. It's in the same series that The Keep is in, but being that this is one of the sequels, I didn't read the synopsis at all because I don't want to be spoiled. I think this is like the third or fourth one. I don't know. So I don't want to spoil myself. The next one I want to show you is one that I'm so super duper excited about. I was able to find a really good copy of The Gilghoul by Henry W. Hocherman. This one was published in 1990, and what makes this so special is the artwork on this, because friggin' it is so cool. It's so cool. Just look at it. It's so cool. This is about a bride who gets possessed by the Gilghoul. And I think maybe the Gilghoul is another... Oh, it doesn't say on here, so I don't want to say. I think it's a German demon, something like that. Okay, the next book I have here is not actually a vintage copy, but it's an older book, and that is The Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum. This was originally published in 1989, and I don't know... I feel like I know a lot about this book, but I'm not sure... I know that this is based on the Sylvia Likens case, which is a really awful true crime case about a girl who was tortured to death basically by her guardian. And I know that that's what inspired this book, but I'm not really sure how closely it follows that. But I'm going to be reading this next month with a couple friends on Instagram. So I'm really excited. I know, well, it feels weird to say I'm excited to read this because I know it's a really hard read, but I'm looking forward to it. I don't think I've read any of Jack Ketchum's. Oh, actually, I think I read one called Ladies' Night, and I'm pretty sure that was a novella. I can't remember if I liked it really. It was a very long time ago. I am looking forward to this one, is what I'm trying to say here. The next one I have here is Cutthroat by Michael Slade. I found this at my used bookstore too. I was pretty excited about it. I just saw Michael Slade and I was like, oh, that's the headhunter person. So I snagged this really quick. This was published in 1992. And I don't know what it's about because when I got home and I looked it up, I realized that that Headhunter was part of a series. So this is one of the books in the series. I want to say the third or fourth. I can't remember. So I didn't read the synopsis because I don't want to be spoiled. I'm not sure if the books in this series can be kind of standalone or not, but so I just didn't want to even go there. I also spent some time this month trying to track down some good copies of some Zebra horror books. Zebra was an imprint in the 80s and 90s, I believe. That's now defunct, but they published a lot of horror novels, and I think the big thing with the Zebra was that their covers were so weird. I know I've talked about some that I have already. Let's see. Ones such as the classic Twice Blessed by Patricia Wallace. I didn't buy this one this month, but this is what I'm talking about. These weird, old, goofy as fuck covers. They're so good. This is The Witching by Fritzen Ravenwood. This was published in 1980. This is a Zebra. This is from the Zebra imprint. I really like this cover. It's simplistic and it just seems atmospheric. I don't know a whole lot about this. The synopsis is pretty vague, but it seems like it is obviously a witchy book. It talks about like candles and maybe human sacrifices and stuff. So yeah, that's all I know about it. I don't like to go into books knowing too much at all. So when a synopsis is vague, I definitely don't go out and look for more information because I feel like it's vague on purpose and I don't want to ruin it for myself. I also found a super great copy of the book Death Song by Jack Scaparo. And the synopsis for this is like a dude who, I guess he played piano and they cut off his hands and threw him into the ocean, and then like hundreds of years later he comes back to haunt a town or a family. It seems like maybe a family. And it says that the family's 7-year-old daughter begins to play the piano without ever learning how. And I'm like, oh no. Maybe she's just virtuoso. But this isn't real life. This is 1989 horror. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I think this is one of my favorite Zebra covers. I don't know, it's just so wacky. I also found a copy of Cry Wolf by Alan B. Chronister. I was super psyched about this one. I was actually, this is the second time I'm filming this video because something was super messed up on my camera, and I filmed it, and like for my last like 4 videos, everything's been like blue. I don't know if you noticed that, but that was not purposeful. Although I do like blue. I just didn't want everything to be blue. So it's the second time I'm filming this. And I was looking at the year that this was published, which is 1987, and I saw that it was signed, and I'm pretty sure this must be by the author. It's signed by someone named Alan in 1987. There is no way for me to authenticate this or to see if it's authentic in any way. I can't look up any pictures of his signature or anything. I think this is the only book he ever wrote. So Craig, thank you for letting go of this one, because now it's mine forever. I'm pretty sure this is a werewolf book. I can't tell how clear things are sometimes in my camera if this is focusing on the cover, but here it is. It's a little girl and she's tucked in and she has a tail and creepy hands. Babies aren't supposed to have wolf hands. The next book I have here is also from Zebra. It was published in 1986, and this is Nightstone by Rick Hautala. This is about, I guess, a girl who finds a creepy doll, and it seems like either the doll or something inside the doll or something like that starts to whisper in her ear and tell her to do bad things. It's quite a chunker. It's in really good condition too, actually. The pages aren't even yellowed, which I don't feel like happens very often for these older vintage books, I find, most of the time at least. Yeah, it's a chunky book, so I'm wondering why it's so chunky. Like, what happens? It's almost 600 pages. That's fucking nuts for like just a standard horror novel. So I'm very curious about this one. I was also able to find a copy of one of Ruby Jean Jensen's books. This is Deathstone, and this was published in 1989. This is the story of two children who find a ring in a lake or a creek near their house, and the girl becomes super fascinated with it, and when she puts it on, something starts telling her to kill people. So maybe kind of like Nightstone, maybe some possession going on. I'm not sure. I'm trying to slowly collect some of Ruby Jean Jensen's books, but also so is like everyone else in the world now, all of a sudden, so they're kind of hard to find, especially in decent condition. So I count myself lucky. This one's a little bit bent here on the cover, which is a tragedy, but I'll be okay. Hopefully I can just flatten it out a little bit. I also found Sight Unseen by Andrew Niederman. This little puppy was published in 1987, and I found out that Andrew Niederman is the ghostwriter for V.C. Andrews, who I've been reading my whole freaking life, basically. She's one of my favorite authors, and I guess actually it's him, because he's been ghostwriting for her since like her first 4 books, basically, after her first couple books, because she tragically died. So that blew my mind. I knew that she had a ghostwriter, but I guess I didn't know that it was Andrew Niederman. So there's your little bit of trivia for the day. Sight Unseen is about a boy who can see into the future, and that's all I know about it. This is another fantastic zebra cover. If it will focus on that, I don't know. Maybe? I hope he's not trapped in that crystal ball, because that seems like it'd be very uncomfortable. Poor little guy. Another really great cover is on Rockabye Baby by Stephen Gresham. This was published in 1984. And it's the story of a man named Mr. McCready who dons his late wife's nursing uniform and abducts children. And I just want to know if the wig was part of her uniform. Like, did she have like a full luscious head of hair, but then still like had to wear a wig to work every day? I don't know. Did he go out and buy it himself? It doesn't really complement his skin tone, but that's okay, Mr. McCready. I also found Cat's Eye by William W. Johnstone. This was published in 1989, and I'm pretty sure this is also part of a series. This is about a woman who is an author, and she starts to hear cat noises, and it's not a cat, it's Satan, because Satan loves cats apparently, or cats are evil and they are Satan. I'm not sure. I've never read this. But cat babies are very creepy. That's what I've learned from this book. Just got a couple more things here. I was able to find the first 3 volumes of Clive Barker's Books of Blood in really good condition from a store called All Data Lost Books on Instagram and Etsy. Oh, no, they're not on Etsy, are they? They have a website, but they're on Instagram, and I was able to find these little beauties. I've been holding out on getting that one because I want these copies so bad. I think there's 6 of them in total, so I'm halfway there. And these are collections of short stories by Clive Barker. I also have 2 books here from Valancourt Books. They are re-releasing some old vintage paperbacks that were featured in Paperbacks from Hell by Grady Hendrix. I think there's 5 in total. I'm really hoping that they decide to do another round, but I know a lot of that has to do with who holds the rights to the books and stuff like that, so maybe they'll be able to. I hope so. I feel like this has been a success so far. So I have the first 2 here. The first one is The Nest by Gregory A. Douglas. This is about mutant giant cockroaches, which is probably my worst fear. I fucking hate cockroaches. They are so gross. They skitter so fast. And one time I smushed one. Its guts were hanging out and it still ran away. So they're practically indestructible. And I live in Southern California. It's warm here most of the year. And so they love it, and they are in my garage sometimes, and it is, oh, I hate it. They're so creepy. I hate them so much. So I want to read that really soon. Maybe it will scare the shit out of me. The next one is When the Darkness Loves Us by Elizabeth Engstrom. And I'm pretty sure that this is 2 novellas put together. It doesn't really say what they're about on the back. I know it mentions the 2 women who are in the novellas. They're not in the novellas together, but one's in one, one's in the other. And that's all it says, basically. I know I read about this when I read Paperbacks from Hell, but I cannot remember what it's about, and so I don't really want to like go and seek it out, especially because these are novellas. I'm really looking forward to this though. 3 left. These ones are easy to go through. These ones are just some editions of Stephen King I found. I found this cool signet copy of Gerald's Game, which of course is about a woman who is having a good time with her lover, and he handcuffs her to the bed and dies. So she's alone in a secluded like lake house that they have. It's off season, so none of their neighbors are around, and she's stuck in handcuffs. I just didn't have this as a mass market paperback, I don't think. Ooh, that would be embarrassing if I did. You won't know. I'm not gonna tell you. Anyways. So I bought it just for a couple bucks at my used bookstore. And the next one I found was Different Seasons, which is a group of novellas put together in one book. And I've seen these, there's like a couple different colors that this edition came in. I know there was like a blue and a green, and I think maybe a red, but I'm not sure if I'm just thinking that because that copy of Gerald's Game was very red. But I don't think I've ever seen the orange. So I was excited when I found this. This will make a really good reading copy that I can take around places instead of my big copy of this. And okay, the last one I have here is the Plume Illustrated Edition of Drawing of the Three by Stephen King. I'm also going to be reading this next month, and really good condition, just a couple bucks. I really like Drawing of the Three. This is of course the second book in the Dark Tower series, and that's where I stopped in the Dark Tower, was after reading this. So I'm excited to reread it again, and I'm excited to get the fuck on with the Dark Tower, finally. That is all I have for you today though. This video turned out to be a little bit long. I'm sorry. Thanks for hanging in there if you've made it to the end. I bought too many books this month, but I'm gonna try to tone it down. Like I said, I just bought new bookshelves, which is why there's all these weird spaces everywhere. Because I have too much shelf and not enough books now, which is a great problem to have. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing a bookshelf tour soon. Someone suggested that to me and it is such a great idea. I think I'm just gonna have to redo my whole like TBR tour video because now everything, I was doing it like shelf by shelf. I wanted to do it at first. That's how I started out doing it. But now since everything is completely rearranged, I think I'm just gonna have to start over from the beginning. Because I've gotten new books since then and things are not in the place where they used to be. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon, I'm sure, but until then, see you later, alligators.